Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today, we're going to talk about Biden's pardons being void according to Republicans. Okay, so a Republican-led oversight committee is bringing up the auto pen thing again. More jingling keys for the base. And they seem to have concluded that Biden's pardons are void. They sent a letter to the Attorney General saying the committee, quote, deems void President Biden's executive actions that were signed using the auto pen, and the committee determines that action by the Department of Justice is warranted to address the legal consequences of that determination. They're trying to suggest that Biden was impaired and that somebody else was making the decisions. The committee also said there was, quote, no record demonstrating President Biden himself made all of the executive decisions that were attributed to him. Except, of course, President Biden saying he did. Biden called those suggesting he didn't make the decisions, quote, liars. And when this first came up, Biden said, quote, everybody knows how vindictive he is, so we knew that they'd do what they're doing now. I consciously made all those decisions. Beyond that, you have another statement from Biden saying, quote, let me be clear. I made the decisions during my presidency. I made the decisions about the pardons, executive orders, legislation, and proclamations. So, what does the Constitution say about this? Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution says, quote, he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. There's no requirement for a signature, unlike how the Constitution requires a signature for legislation. Okay, so what's history say about this? It doesn't matter. No, seriously, it doesn't matter. Not just have multiple presidents like Obama, Kennedy, Lincoln, and Jefferson used mechanical means to sign documents. There's literally no requirement that pardons be signed, much less be signed by the president with a notary and clear documentation or whatever. In fact, them being signed by the president is kind of a new thing. In the 1800s, pardons were signed by the Secretary of State or somebody working for state. In 1929, the Office of the Solicitor General, which is DOJ, said pardons, quote, need not have the president's autograph, if it shall bear the facsimile signature and be certified by an official having charge of the records as having been issued by the president, or by his direction, that shall be sufficient. In 2005, the Office of Legal Counsel at the DOJ put out a memo saying, quote, the president need not personally perform the physical act of affixing his signature to a bill he approves and decides to sign in order for the bill to become law. Rather, the president may sign a bill within the meaning of Article 1, Section 7 by directing a subordinate to affix the president's signature to such a bill. For example, by auto pen. If an auto pen is good enough for something that requires a signature according to the Constitution, it's certainly good enough for something that doesn't require a signature. And just last year, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit said that, quote, nothing in the Constitution restricts the president's exercise of the clemency power to communications that have been rendered through a documented writing. At the end of the day, this is likely to amount to a whole lot of nothing. There's not a mechanism to revoke a pardon. And with Biden saying he did it, and the pardons being delivered, that's kind of a closed case. But the GOP will probably try to distract from their shutdown, SNAP, ACA tax credits, the ballroom, the files, and so on with this. So, expect to hear about it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.